There's been one other element, though, Rick Barry, that's come up in this series with the Knicks, and that has been exceptional performance by the Detroit guards, which is not all that unheard of. They're a great guard tandem, and with Benny Johnson, terrific. But the Knicks guards have really let that team down in terms of performance.
Well, yes, they have, Bob, and if you take a look at these statistics, you can see what we're talking about. As far as the Knicks go, there are two starters doing a reasonably decent job, although Daryl Wilkins needs to come through a little bit more. But look at those numbers, 31.4 points, only 40%. Tucker and Jackson really not being that effective coming off the bench, especially Tucker with 33% field goal accuracy. As you look at the trio that Bob just talked about, Dumars, Thomas, of course, these are players you expect to get those kind of numbers from, and Vinnie Johnson, the microwave, has done for so many years what he's doing in this series, double figures and terrific shooting. Another element to look at, however, in this game has been the ineffectiveness of the three spot for the Knicks. Kiki Vandeweghe and also playing the back Johnny Newman there have not really done a great deal for the Knicks offensively. Stu Jackson may very well pull Kiki Vandeweghe early, bring in Newman, and hope that Dumars will then get tired. I mean, not Dumars, but the Defensive Player of the Year, Dennis Rodman, will get tired. Then when Mark Aguirre comes into the ball game, they're going to be able to go ahead and make a change there and bring Kiki back in and get that matchup, so hopefully Kiki can get off against Mark Aguirre.
And there's a man on the floor tonight who wears number 33 who's given a new definition of impact player. He causes an impact not only on the Knicks, but also on the entire game plan of the Detroit Pistons, Patrick Ewing.
Yeah, and they've got to find some way to keep Patrick Ewing in the ball game 40-plus minutes. Without Patrick Ewing in the ball game, the Knicks realistically don't have a chance to win this game.
We'll be back here in just a moment to the Palace in Auburn Hills, the Detroit Pistons, hoping to advance to the Eastern Conference Championship Series, but first, they got to get past the New York Knicks. After this, we'll be joining Greg Sager in our studios in Atlanta.
Just ahead, game one of tonight's doubleheader, the New York Knicks and the Detroit Pistons. Hello, I'm Craig Sager. The revolving door continued today for NBA coaches. Bernie Bickerstaff moved into the Seattle front office, and his assistant, former Celtics coach Casey Jones, took over.
Bob said, Case, Bernie is making decisions where to continue or to step up. And he said, if that's the case, he steps up, and just like you to be next coach. Now, that made me feel very nice.
And with me in Playoff Central this week, Cleveland coach Lenny Wilkins, who led Seattle to its only NBA title in 1979. Thanks for being with us.
Well, thank you, Craig. It's a pleasure to be here.
Also today, the Hall of Fame opened its doors to Earl Monroe, Elvin Hayes, Dave Bing, Neil Johnstone, names you're familiar with.
I'll tell you, three great players, particularly Elvin Hayes, who was a prototype of the forward that is playing the game today. Dave Bing, Earl Monroe, two great guards that had tremendous impact on the game. And Neil Johnson, in his era, really developed the hook shot.
I'll tell you what, moving on, it's a night of survival tonight for the New York Knicks and the L.A. Lakers. First, New York, how do you keep Patrick Ewing out of foul trouble?
Well, I tell you, that's real difficult, but I think they have to get Patrick help. They have to come back, double team, get good rotation, so that Patrick's not left down there to defend against James Edwards by himself.
Elsewhere in the East, the Philadelphia 76ers are also down 3-1. They'll be in Chicago tomorrow night. That game right here on TNT. In the West, the Lakers are in trouble. What can we expect tonight against Phoenix?
Well, I think the Lakers are going to come and go all out tonight. They have to get their running game in gear. They have to get more movement out on the floor. They have to get big games from certain people, particularly Byron Scott. Byron struggled a little bit in this playoff, and they have to get a great game out of him. And also, they have to get a great game out of Michael Thompson. I think Michael has not played as well, and the middle is a little bit weak right now.
Also tonight, San Antonio at Portland. What do you expect there? We'll have bonus coverage of that game.
Well, I tell you, when you play at the Portland arena, it's going to be tough there. They're really tough at home. They'll get the running game going tonight. Certainly, Cooper probably will play a little bit and give them some more strength in the middle. That will be an exciting game, but I certainly feel like Portland will win that game.
Well, we'll be back at halftime, but up next, game one of tonight's doubleheader, the New York Knicks and the Detroit Pistons.
The 1990 NBA playoffs on TNT are brought to you by Miller Genuine Draft. When things heat up in the NBA, step into the cold. By Jeep and Eagle, the official vehicles of the NBA. And by The Pump, by Reebok. Pump it up.
What would you call a pass that takes you to everywhere the NBA calls home? Anytime for any game next season at TNT. We call it the Power Pass. And you can win one, complete with airfare, hotel, and tickets. To enter, just pick up the phone and call 1-900-3706-TNT. Or Send a postcard with name, address, birth date, and phone to MDA on TNT as the rumble of the NBA playoffs continues on TNT.
Bob Beal and Rick Barry with you from the Palace in Auburn Hills, Michigan. Ready to get underway. Game 5 Eastern Conference semifinals. On the left, the Knicks. Vandeweghe and Oakley up front. Oakley averaging nearly 14 rebounds a game. Ewing at center. Cheeks and Wilkins the starting guards. Defensive Player of the Year, Dennis Rodman, and James Edwards, who's averaging nearly 19 points a game for Detroit. Lane Beer at center, and of course the guards, Thomas and Dumars. The officials tonight, you're looking at Dick Bavetta. He'll be joined by Eddie F. Rush and Steve Javy. And we're getting underway from the Palace in Auburn Hills. The Knicks come away with the ball. The veteran Mo Cheeks starts things to Gerald Wilkins. The feed inside to Vandeweghe.
Well, very unusual to see Dennis Rodman get rubbed off the screen that easily. And, of course, we talked about at the top of the show, they'd love to see Kiki Vandeweghe have a big offensive game.
Joe Dumars gets the screen from Lane Beer. Gets Thomas flashing into the lane. Blocked by Patrick Ewing. Saved by Rodman. Lane Beer will start it all over again.
They're going to call 24-second clock problem. They reset the clock. The ball never got up and touched anything. The 24-second clock should have been down a lot further, obviously. And showing 23 seconds now.
So Dick Bavetta makes the call, resets it to 8 seconds on the shot clock, which is another story for the Pistons now. Isaiah Thomas has been lighting them up from three-point range. He gets 2. Thomas has been 9 of 13 from three-point range here at the Palace. That's 69%, so they have to play him tight. He used that to his advantage. From long range, that's Gerald Wilkins. Nobody's missed yet. Isaiah Thomas driving on Cheeks into James Edwards, who had the double block, gets the hoop and the foul on Patrick Ewing. We talked about it at the beginning of the game. Patrick Ewing had 3 early fouls in New York, scored all of his points in the second half because of substantial time on the bench.
Well, here's the mismatch right there. Caught him on the forearm, on the left arm. And those are the kind of fouls that Patrick certainly can ill afford to pick up. It's a silly foul on his part.
Legitimate call. Oftentimes the officials get the rub for fouling the guy early, but that was significant certainly on the part of Patrick. 5-4 Detroit. Opening moments from the Palace. Here's Ewing. Spin move inside. It's almost patented, and despite a shaky ref, it'll drop.
It looked like Patrick might have actually gone up and been in the net that time as the ball was still floating around on the rim, and that certainly could have been offensive interference.
Knicks by 1. Minute and a half gone, first quarter. James Edwards tried to get it into the paint. Good defense by Ewing. Vandeweghe to Cheeks. They pull it back out, but only for a moment. Ewing has 4.
There's one element of his game that has improved so dramatically. It's that face-up jump shot from 10 to 12 feet. I mean, he shoots that shot as well as any player in the game.
The Knicks have yet to miss from the field. They're 4 out of 4. Lead it 8-5 with 2 minutes gone in the first quarter. Dumars defended by Gerald Wilkins, and now Vandeweghe against Lane Beer. Rebound Ewing. One of the things Stu Jackson feared was the Pistons coming out here real hot, building an early lead and putting his team in the hole, and just the opposite has happened. The Knicks now have a 5-point lead.
Very important for the Knicks to have come out in this game hot offensively, not to fall into that hole and play the deep hole syndrome game, which usually doesn't work on the road.
So the Pistons in 2.5 minutes have scored only 5 points. Edwards missing again. Rebound Oakley. Gerald Wilkins from 16 feet. He shot that so poorly that even Oakley couldn't get a hold of it. It'll belong to the Pistons.
Chuck Daly telling his team, he said, guys, here's the story. If we don't play well tonight, practice at 11 on Thursday, the plane leaves at 5 for New York. It's your choice.
John Sally's birthday is this week. He said he wanted a day off for his birthday, so I guess he'll have to come off the bench later and play for that. Wilkins, good defense on Dumars. 4 on the shot clock for James Edwards. He bumped Ewing. Ewing just took the ball away. Oakley from outside. He loves to take that jump shot. Or for him, it's more of a set shot. And it's 12-5. Knicks, and they're 6 out of 7 from the floor.
Chuck Daly getting an early timeout. It's a 20-second timeout with 8:39 to go in the first quarter. So the shooting percentages of the Knicks we talked about in the open are certainly going their way here tonight.
Yeah, at 43% you saw the guards, the whole team I think has been shooting, and we'll take a look right now and see some of the good playing. We'll watch.
Every one of the starters has scored, by the way.
Patrick Ewing, he's going to be down inside making this move here against Edwards. Spins back to the baseline when the double team was coming into the middle. Now watch when this ball's banging around. I was a Knick, okay. It wasn't Patrick, it was Oakley who went up and grabbed the net when the ball was in it. That should have been offensive interference. And then just a few moments ago, Charles Oakley picking up with the hot hand as he drops him the outside shot.
Knicks on an 8-0 run. Dumars gets his own rebound. He draws the foul from Gerald Wilkins. And we'll go to the free throw line with the Knicks leading 12-5.
You see, Gerald got caught that time because he just came running out at the offensive player. Dumars ran by him. Joe was able to get the rebound as a result of that because Gerald was not in position to screen him off, and then he compounded the mistake by running back and committing the foul on Joe's second opportunity.
See that Detroit's hit only 2 of their 6 field goal attempts. Edwards has missed 3 of those, and Joe Dumars was last year an MVP. This year had injury toward the end of the season, shooting 47% coming into the playoffs, getting himself back near 100% playing condition.
Yeah, they were playing so well before he hurt that hand. I think they went off like 25-1.
Wilkins and Ewing with a 2-man game. Here comes the double team. Ewing turns around and hits it for 12 feet.
And again, that's another area of improvement. Patrick is making his move before double teams can get there to cause him problems. He was a little slow at doing that last season. He's made dramatic strides in that area.
3 for 3. Pat has 6. Heads-up play by James Edwards goes unrewarded as the Knicks come away with it. Oakley will try another one from the outside. Not this time. It belongs to this one.
Charles, obviously, he feels that he's a much better outside shooter than he really is. And if he knocks 1 or 2 of them in, he's going to think he's even better.
It's a nightmare for Stu Jackson if Oakley hits his first outside shot. He starts calling for perimeter screens. Dumars defended by Wilkins. Detroit only 2 of 7. 10 on the shot clock for Isaiah Thomas against Mo Cheeks. Now the shot clock is down to 5 seconds. The lob into Vandeweghe. Lambeer didn't into Lambeer. Vandeweghe got there first, and there's only 2 seconds on the shot clock for the Pistons.
Interesting way the Knicks are playing the screen and roll plays. The defender is going right up body to body with the man setting the screen, and the defender is then sliding in behind both of the players rather than through the 2 players.
Edwards got it away. It would have counted. Rodman with the rebound and the steal. First points of the game for Rodman. He had 14 rebounds in game number 4. Inside to Gerald Wilkins, who lost to Joe Dumars down on the baseline. 16-9. Knicks, 7:10 to go first quarter. New York, 8 out of 10 from the floor. Because you're not going to miss many with that kind of shot. Isaiah Thomas missing a 3-pointer. I told you he was 9 of 13 until then here at the Palace. We've got a foul against Dennis Rodman, a hold on the transition, his first personal. Cheeks, Vandeweghe, Oakley, Patrick Ewing, Gerald Wilkins on the floor for the Knicks. There have been no substitutions in the game thus far. Ewing misses his first shot of the night. Rodman another rebound. He has 3 early. Isaiah Thomas got down low and hit the bottom of the hoop, and it belongs to the Knicks, and we have a timeout on the floor with 6 minutes, 40 seconds to go in the first quarter, and the Knicks up by 7 points. Knicks surprising Detroit early, 16-9. Patrick Ewing with 6 points. We asked the assistant coach for the Detroit Pistons, Brendan Serm, you're looking at right now, just how they hope to stop Patrick Ewing.
Patrick is the focal point of this team. When we play against a super player like a Patrick, like a Jordan, a Dominique, imagine you have to flex your defense, we believe, to compensate for that great ability. So I think you saw in the last few series since we went on the road, and I think you'll see again tonight, that we're going to try to get the ball out of his hands. We're going to try to come at him a little quicker, make him force some shots, try to get him to pass it, keep him off balance. Use the experience of our team, the maturity of our team, the playoff experience to our advantage.
Well, it didn't do it on this play. Patrick will get his position. He gets the ball quickly. You'll see the double coming from the left of the screen. Dumars late getting there. Patrick shooting a shot before he got there, and 2 of his points. And, Bob, they've done a great job of distributing the ball, the Knicks have.
7 assists out of 8 field goals for New York. Detroit only 1 assist so far early in this ball game. It's about as good as it can get. Gerald Wilkins, isolated against Dumars, has that height advantage, spins inside. Pistons fans wanted an offensive foul, but an excellent move by Gerald Wilkins, and Wilkins early in this ball game is playing very well. He has 6 points. Dumars, the jump hook in the lane, collected by Mo Cheeks. The Knicks are running. They have a 9-point lead. Stolen by Isaiah Thomas.
Well, that was a telegraph pass. Why it was stolen.
Isaiah isolated on the right side, blows by Cheeks for the pull-up.
Now Johnny Newman coming in. Stu getting him in here after about 6.5 minutes. Here's Gerald Wilkins making those spin to the baseline. See the body move and the contact against Dumars. Obviously, they felt there wasn't enough contact there to call the offensive foul.
Isaiah Thomas, tough start in this game, only 1 of 5 from the floor. Knicks continue with a 9-point lead. Oakley driving down the lane against Lane Beer. Doesn't get it to roll in. 5:23 to go, first quarter. Fans can't believe the Pistons have scored only 9 points here in 7 minutes. Dumars bounces to Rodman. Patrick Ewing caused him to have to miss that shot. The pass to Wilkins. Beautiful baseball pass to Wilkins. And now it is an 11-point Knicks win. This is a stunning start to this first quarter of this game here in Detroit.
Yeah, the Knicks have come out playing their best basketball of the series to start a ball game, I believe.
Dumars misses. That would have been a 2-pointer. He stepped on the line. Chance to build the lead to 13. Dumars has yet to hit. Isaiah Thomas, 1 of 5. Dumars 0 for 4, and that's after we talked about their great shooting percentages. The only guy shooting worse is Oakley after hitting that first jump shot. John Sally will be into the game along with Vinnie Johnson in a moment. Rick told you that Johnny Newman's on the bench for New York, waiting to come in. Ewing with a rebound. The Pistons ice cold. Pistons have hit 3 of 16 field goal attempts, and Kiki Vandeweghe hits a triple. Unbelievable. This crowd is stunned into silence here at the Palace. The Knicks lead at 23-9, and Detroit's Chuck Daly gets a timeout with only 3:53 to go in the first quarter. Detroit is on the wrong end of a 19-4 run by New York. June 8th to July 8th. For the first time in 40 years, the United States has qualified. You see the opening round matches. We'll be televising them on TNT. Mick Luckhurst will join me for those telecasts. Czechoslovakia followed by Italy. Italy the favorite to win it all. And Austria on June 10th, 14th, and 19th. The United States will be represented in the world's biggest sporting event.
Yeah, Bob, now you're not only the voice of SEC football, you're the voice of the World Cup.
Well, I've wanted to do that for a long time. I'll think of you when I'm traveling throughout Italy with me.
Yeah, please do that.
Our producer tonight, Ro Backfish, is producing the World Cup. It'll be an adventure. 12 cities in Italy over a period of about 6 weeks.
It's been an adventure for Detroit, too. They've missed 12 of the last 13 shots out here.
Vinnie Johnson in the game along with Sally. There was some action over to the right side away from the ball. And we're going to get the foul called on Newman trying to push away from Bill Laimbeer.
You know, I really think that had the Knicks not gotten off to the start offensively that they did with everybody shooting so well, that Kiki would have gone out of the game a little bit sooner. Let's see if he gets him back in when Mark Aguirre comes into the ball game.
Sally's had a solid playoff series. 23-9, the Knicks leading in this ball game. Detroit has hit 3 field goals. Isaiah Thomas, 4-3. Isaiah is now 10 of 14 3-pointers here at the Palace in the playoffs, but only 2 of 7 from the field tonight. 3:11 to go, first quarter. Ewing left alone. Sally and Newman battle for the rebound. The ball will belong to the Knicks.
Sally was standing out of bounds when he got his hands on that ball, but you saw Patrick make a nice move. As he came for the screen, he saw his man overplayed. He just peeled right off without really staying there and got himself wide open, but unfortunately he didn't drop the shot for the Knicks.
Gerald Wilkins rubbed off Vinnie Johnson for the baseline jumper, which he misses. Lane Beer to Rodman. Isaiah Thomas into the paint. So now he's hit his last 2 after going 1 of 5 to open this ball game. Pistons playing with more fire now since Sally and Vinnie Johnson entered the lineup. Wilkins spins right past Vinnie Johnson to Patrick Ewing.
I didn't hear the whistle, and I was wondering why a foul wasn't called, but Dick Pavetta was on top of the call. His brother Joe will be proud of him down there in Florida watching, I'm sure. But let's watch Isaiah in the last play. Little move through the legs, cross the lane, great body control, drifting, very difficult shot.
Little carry there with the left hand. Patrick Ewing has now hit 29 consecutive free throws and is 33 of 35 in the playoffs.
That's also a concern of Chuck Daly's. He said in the 2 games that they played here in Detroit to start the series, Patrick didn't get to the line very frequently, but back in New York, he had a field day there, and they want to try and keep him off the line. It's one thing to score 30 or 40 points with field goals. It's another to give him freebies at the line.
So Patrick now has hit 30 straight. Mo Cheeks lost control, ran right into Vinnie Johnson. He'll be called for the foul. 2:24 to go, first quarter. Knicks are leading it by 11. Team foul situation, 2 against the Pistons, 4 on the Knicks early on. Next one will put the Knicks over the limit. Lane Beer set the right side screen, and Isaiah Thomas took it to the left. Almost got that tough bank to fall. Oakley takes it away from Thomas. Sally made the defensive play. He finds Vinnie Johnson. Back to Sally. To Rodman. It wasn't pretty, but count the 2. It was started by Sally's defense. There's the double team on Ewing. Wide open, Vinnie Johnson. It'll belong to the Pistons with a new shot clock, trailing by 9. 1:32 to go, quarter number 1.
And right now, what the reserves have helped have happened here is to get the Piston crowd back into this ball game.
Vinnie Johnson driving against Wilkins. The bounce pass comes into the hands of the Knicks' Johnny Newman. Now to the veteran Mo Cheeks. Nevertheless, the Pistons have come out with more fire, but the Knicks have maintained that 9-point bulge. Ewing gets the basket, and he'll go to the line. Came away limping a little bit.
Watch and see if we can pick up where Patrick was banged on this play. Here he makes the move across the middle. Went up for the shot. Came down. Looked like he came down funny on the right ankle. Just landed a little strange and a little slight twist to it, but nothing severe.
31 free throws in a row. John Sally call for the personal, and it's a 12-point Knicks lead.
Wake up!
One minute to go in the first period, and the Detroit Pistons have scored only 16 points. This is usually the kind of defense they throw up against an opponent. 5 on the shot clock. 3, 2, 1. It's Isaiah at the buzzer. He has 9 points. Under a minute to go, first quarter. Ewing shuffled his feet. John Sally in excellent position there to stop that inside baseline move. Ewing likes to turn left with the shoulder and then spin inside to the right, and Sally overplayed him and was in the right place at the right time.
Well, you can't take anything away from the Knicks and the defensive effort they put forth there, but really the Pistons, I think, were just a little bit cold offensively, and the Knicks were red hot.
Isaiah Thomas drawing just a little iron. He has 9 points. The rest of the entire Pistons team has scored only 9 here in the first quarter with 20 seconds remaining. Knicks looking for this last shot. Newman hard to the hoop. That was Rodman who got a piece of that. Benny Johnson hard to the hoop. That'll be goaltending. Count the basket. Johnny Newman got up there, but the ball on its downward flight. 1.8 seconds to go in the quarter.
Stu Jackson really upset. He felt there should have been a foul when Newman made that penetration move into the basket. That was a big play for Detroit. Tough one for the Knicks.
From half court, Patrick Ewing almost got it. It was a very big basket, but the Knicks lead it by 8 at the end of one period, and Stu Jackson said he just hoped to emerge from this quarter without being in a hole. Just the opposite has happened.
March 1990. Mike Krzyzewski leads the Duke Blue Devils to an amazing third straight Final Four appearance. This summer, Coach K guides Team USA against the 8 best basketball teams in the world at the 1990 Goodwill Games. Olympic champions, the Soviet Union, the Brazilians, and the talented Yugoslavian team will all be there.
See you at the Goodwill Games.
Breathtaking, record-breaking, memory-making. The 1990 Goodwill Games, this summer on your TBS channel.
Bob Neal and Rick Barry with you. Sunset in Motown, and the sun kind of set on the Pistons in the first quarter. Only 20 points. The Knicks lead it by 8.
Now watch, Lane Beer's going to come into the picture. Newman is committed now to the drive. Lane Beer should have been there already. You saw him move in after Newman was committed. There's the contact. That's what Stu Jackson was complaining about. It really should have been a foul on Bill Lane Beer.
Well, Detroit started this game 3 of 16 from the floor. Finished the quarter shooting 33%. The Knicks 57%. Trent Tucker is checked into the ball game for the New York Knicks.
Well, McGuire is in and Newman's still in. Kiki's not in the ball game.
Trent Tucker. For the Pistons, Aguirre, Sally, Dumars, Lane Beer, and Joe Dumars. Lane Beer with a rebound. Benny Johnson.
Bob, I still like Patrick on the other block.
Patrick Ewing with another rebound. He has 6 early. Averaging a little more than 10 in the playoffs. Patrick also has 11 first quarter points. Aguirre with the offside rebound. The long touchdown pass to Benny Johnson. Mark Aguirre made that toss, and the Pistons, who had trailed by 14, have pulled to within 4.
In a civilized society, a personal grooming lapse can result in a mortifying loss of station, so it behooves one to emanate the proper air. But with Right Guard Sports Stick, one gets maximum protection. And with a plethora of ambrosial aromatics, it is virtually impossible to pick up the wrong scent. Well, off to the foxes. Right Guard Sports Stick. Anything less would be uncivilized.
These kids will try anything for kicks, souped-up wheels, an innocent chick, maybe even murder.
What if they're not through with us?
Hot rods to hell. Tonight, after the NBA playoffs on TNT.
Of all these evening newscasts, only one gives you a full hour of coverage. Only one is on the most believable network on television. And only one has Bernard Shaw and Catherine Cryer. The World Today, weeknights on CNN.
Vinnie Johnson, the microwave, has scored the last 6 Detroit points. They pulled it within 4.
Well, the Knicks have gone cold. Patrick Ewing not able to get that little turnaround to fall. Aguirre with the rebound and the beautiful long lead pass to Vinnie Johnson to cut that 14-point lead. Now down to only 4, and a good timeout by Stu Jackson. You can see how tough the Pistons have been here at the Palace. Milwaukee, the only team to have beaten them 3 times here since they've started playing ball. 84-11 overall here. The Knicks, one of those teams that beat them twice. That was the season before last when they swept the series against the Pistons.
There's some guy who thinks it's 1989 holding up the Bad Boys poster. This year they're the gentlemen of the NBA, wouldn't you say?
Let's not get carried away, Bob.
Since trailing by 14, Detroit has outscored the Knicks 15-5. 10:42 to go, second quarter. 28-24 New York. Into Ewing. Ewing has 13 points. He had no points at all in the first half of game number 4 because of foul trouble. Ewing carrying 1 personal right now. Knicks by 6. Aguirre against Oakley. Newman with the double team. And lost the ball on the belong to the Knicks.
Well, Stu still hasn't tried to take advantage of putting Vandeweghe in against Mark Aguirre. Mark's been in since the start of this quarter, and Kiki's still on the bench.
We call Patrick Ewing the go-to guy. He scored the last 7 New York points. And we've got an offensive foul against the Knicks.
Charles Oakley just running right into Bill Laimbeer and knocking him out of the way as Bill tried to impede his progress towards the basket.
Oakley's first personal. Joe Dumars and Vinnie Johnson in the backcourt. Sally, Aguirre, and Laimbeer up front for Detroit. Laimbeer has Newman to guard him. He's going to try to bounce him in. The turnaround jumper doesn't go down. Sally misses the stick back.
So you got to keep a body on Sally. You give Sally a running start at the basket from the weak side, and he's going to make plays like that.
Aguirre's first 2 of the ball game. Trent Tucker's been successful from 3-point range, but his field goal shooting percentage down in this series. Newman open for 3. It was 2 open. Sally gets the rebound, and here come the Pistons. Knicks by 4. The Knicks had led by 14 points at one point, 23-9. Aguirre. Tucker with the offside rebound to Mark Jackson, who's into the ball game for the Knicks. Tucker from 17.
Well, they really need Tucker to start getting the hot hand. He's been very ineffectual in this series thus far, and he's perhaps one of their best outside shooters.
Only shooting 40% from the floor in the series, in the entire playoffs. Knicks by 6. Dumars against Tucker. 10 on the shot clock, getting some help from Sally now.
That's how they play that double. See how the guy's going behind both men?
3 on the shot clock. Dumars with the drive to Sally for the rebound. Well, it took them 24 seconds to get the 2-man game, but they finally got the basket.
Yeah, Tucker had to go back down and screen Sally off. He just stood out there watching.
Looking for Ewing. Ten on the shot clock. The loose ball picked up by Mark Jackson. Ewing from 21 feet. Loose ball foul. It's on John Sally. This is the first of our 2 games of the doubleheader. Coming up right after this ball game, the Phoenix Suns and the Los Angeles Lakers. From the Forum, the Lakers with their backs to the wall. Phoenix leading that series 3-1. Kenny Walker into the ball game for the Knicks. Dennis Rodman back in for Detroit, and Laimbeer sits down. James Edwards on the floor. Let's see, it's Edwards, Rodman, Mark Aguirre with Dumars and Johnson for Detroit. Jackson, Newman, Walker, Trent Tucker, and Ewing for the Knicks. A lot of substitutions here in the second quarter. Mark Jackson from 19. From Patrick Ewing.
Well, the Knicks doing a good job now of not letting the Pistons just totally come back, wipe out that lead, and take a lead of their own. If they can maintain their composure here, play some good basketball in the remaining 7:37 and go into halftime with the lead. It's going to make the Pistons, think about what they have to do to win this ball game and close out the series.
Tough inside move by James Edwards as he got away from Patrick Ewing. James has 5 points in this game. He's averaging nearly 19 per game during the playoffs. Against Ewing. Ewing inside to Mark Jackson. He's fouled by Mark Aguirre.
That's the kind of good execution that they're going to have to get. If the Pistons are going to be doubling, Patrick's got to make the good passes, make them pay the penalty for double teaming, catch them with a little bit slow on the rotation. This time it was a nice cut to the basket. You're going to see Jackson go. He cuts to the basket. His man Dumars stops to leave. Weak side, Aguirre late getting over to help out, had to commit the foul.
Mark Jackson had 8.6 assists in only 16 minutes in Game 4. Usually Mark Jackson on the floor when the Knicks are trailing because of his trapping pressing game and his open court game as Kiki Vandeweghe comes in for Newman.
Yeah, interesting now, though, but Rodman's also back in the ball game now, so I would think that Rodman will probably guard Kiki Vandeweghe, and they'll probably put Mark Aguirre on Kenny Walker. That's the least damaging combination you can come up with for the Pistons.
At the conclusion of tonight's game, Rick and I will be selecting the Miller Lite player of the game. Knicks lead it by 6, 7 minutes to go in the first half. That's right, the Knicks are leading the Pistons here at the Palace. 4 points now as Joe Dumars has 4. That's his first field goal of the evening. Ewing into the paint quickly against Edwards. He draws the foul and gets the hoop.
And that's why I like him on that block. He just has so much stronger a move when he's going into the lane, going to his left shoulder, which makes his right hand the dominant, strong hand. Got better control, easier to shoot the shot. See how he beats the double, is able to knife inside. Good control, nice touch with the right hand. Going the other way and bringing it back to his right hand, he's just not as effective.
It's been interesting. This year, what Patrick did is develop that left shoulder, then right-handed move down on the baseline and used it so effectively that teams started overplaying him, and now he goes to what would normally be a right-hander's strength.
Yeah, and he does it very, very well. And it's nice that he's working on the other side, and he can do things there, but he's just so much more effective on the other block.
Vinnie Johnson missing from about 12 feet. Just adding to the coach's worries. Patrick Ewing getting better all the time. Knicks by 7. Down to Ewing again. Here's the double team. Finds the open man. It's Kiki Vandeweghe. Rebound, Vinnie Johnson.
Rodman made him rush that shot.
Aguirre against Walker. Got right past him. The goaltending call will be on Patrick Ewing. Give the basket to Aguirre. He has 4 points. Knicks by 5. Trying to hold on to a lead. Knicks were up by 14 midway through the first quarter. Vandeweghe against Rodman. Looking for Ewing. 5 on the shot clock for Tucker. Has to throw up a prayer. It would have been a beauty, but the shot clock was running down, and Tucker had no other choice.
Well, but Tucker also thought that he had gotten bumped, and he thought he had made a smart play by throwing it up to the basket to get a 2-shot foul rather than the 1-shot foul.
Steve Javie threw his arms apart like no blood, no foul. Wilkins will be back in for the Knicks in a moment. 4 on the shot clock. Vinnie Johnson in some trouble. 3. And 2 on the shot clock. And it's now a 3-point Knicks lead. The Pistons starting to throw up that ironclad defense into Walker for the jam. He didn't even see that pass initially from Trent Tucker.
It was a great reaction on his part to be able to pick it up out of the corner of his eye because he was going in for an offensive rebound.
He'll take it. Sky Walker. The Knicks lead at 41-36.
That's an offensive foul now on Mark Aguirre as he banged Kenny Walker trying to get position down low.
2 on Aguirre.
We'll watch Walker on this last play. See, he made the cut. Now he goes. There's the ball as he was going into the basket. Just came over his left shoulder. Nice lead pass. And Kenny takes it home, as you see on our slam cam, the former or past slam dunk champion.
Wilkins right back into the ball game and right to the hoop. Gerald Wilkins.
He goes left so well. I mean, most right-handed players don't have that good a move going to the left. Wilkins, one of the best at it.
Wilkins with 10 points here in the first half. Knicks lead it 43-36. Detroit had pulled to within 3 after New York led by 14 early. Jackson's on the floor for New York.
Good help that time, because when Jackson fell down, his man was wide open. Patrick came over to pick up Dumars, and nice help by Kiki to slide inside and knock it away from Edwards, who was open for a dunk.
8 seconds on the shot clock. New York, the best shooting percentage for them the entire series, 55% right now. 43-36 as Aguirre launches a long one as the shot clock ran down. Remember, they had only 8 when they inbounded the ball. That will belong to New York. Another Detroit turnover, with the Knicks continuing to lead 43-36.
Well, Vinny's saying that he had gotten rid of the ball before he actually had come down, when his foot was out of bounds and touching the court, that the ball was out of his hands already.
Mark Jackson. Oakley now against Aguirre. Jackson from 12 feet. Good penetrating move by Mark Jackson. He seems to be playing with comfort here and has 6 points off the bench.
Yeah, doing a nice job, especially since it's not an up-tempo game where he's usually at his best. He's showing some nice poise here, and it's important for Mark to prove that he can play in this type of a game.
Pistons had pulled to within 3, and the Knicks now on a 6-0 run to lead by 9. Good penetrating move down low by Joe Dumars.
Yeah, you know, you got to try and force a guy back to the middle in those situations. When you have nobody in help defense position on the baseline, you've got to send him back towards the help, overplay him baseline.
Isaiah Thomas has been resting for a while. He'll be back in a moment. Punched away by Dumars, but Wilkins controls against Aguirre. This is the lay-in. Kiki Vandeweghe there tries to stick it with his left hand, and James Edwards with the rebound. We'll get a loose ball foul against Detroit. And it's on
James Edwards, I believe. Now watch the move just before we talked about Dumars and having to overplay him. See through his, like he's overplaying his right hand, giving him the baseline. And so it's okay, you want to give it to me? I'll take it.
They've given that personal to Mark Aguirre, who has 3 fouls here in the first half. Oakley against Aguirre. Another opportunity for a foul here. Good help from Dumars. Wilkins in the paint, kicks it to Jackson. Into Ewing, who missed the lay-in. Isaiah Thomas now has the Pistons on the run. Aguirre, nobody near. Isaiah delivers the ball. Knicks by 5. 2:40 remaining, first half. Mark Jackson from long range. Nobody down there for the rebound as Aguirre and Rodman had boxed out Oakley. Here's Aguirre open again from Isaiah. Mark Aguirre has 10 points, all in the second quarter, and he has led the Piston comeback, and they pull to within 3. 20-second timeout. Well, Mark Aguirre's come in for 10. Vinnie Johnson 6, Sally 2, and now they're calling a full timeout.
Deluxe, but hurry, they're going fast.
The Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield, Massachusetts. Some people spend a lifetime getting there. The rest of us spend the time of our lives. Put a move on to Springfield, Massachusetts, home of the Basketball Hall of Fame.
People keep asking me how it felt to be in the first Jamaican bobsled team. Well, let me tell you, man, it was cold, freezing. See, coming from Jamaica, the only thing I like cold is Miller Lite. Lite's not some watered-down version of your regular beer. It's a less filling beer that really tastes great. And let me tell you, man, Jamaican bobsledders will be ready in 92. Keep trading, man. Going for the gold next time.
You gotta believe when it's Miller Lite, less filling tastes great.
The Knicks and the Pistons will continue from the Palace in a moment. Hello, I'm Craig Sager. Coming up at halftime, Cleveland Cavs coach Lenny Wilkins will analyze first half highlights. We'll also go to L.A. for the Digital Coach of the Year presentation. And we'll have a day in the life of Pistons trainer Mike Abdenauer. That's all coming up shortly. But now back to Bob Neal and Rick Barry.
Bob Neal, Rick Barry with you with 2 minutes, 15 seconds to go. And the New York Knicks got out to a 14-point lead when the Detroit bench came in, particularly in the person of Vinnie Johnson and Mark Aguirre. The Pistons have now pulled back to within 3.
Yeah, you would expect when their bench came in that they would have an advantage there, but fortunately the Knicks had enough of a cushion and they showed enough poise to not just totally collapse when the crowd got back in the ball game. And as long as they can keep a little bit of a lead going into halftime, it's still going to be obviously anybody's ball game. They've done a nice job of maintaining that lead and not just relinquishing it all at one fell swoop.
Mark Jackson has been the bench man for the New York Knicks. He has 6 points all in this period. Patrick Ewing leads all scorers with 16 points. Patrick playing with 1 personal foul. Mark Aguirre has 3 for the Pistons. 10 on the shot clock for New York, leading by 3. Van de Wey to Ewing, kicks it to Wilkins. This is for 3. Rebound Edwards. The Pistons could pull to within 1 or tie on this trip.
Mark's feeling it. He's going to go.
And we have the hold on Wilkins as he backs him into the lane.
Well, Mark's just got that look in his face that he feels that he can make anything he's going to throw up there, and he's going to be very offensive-minded here.
Mark Aguirre played 11 minutes only in the first half in Game 4 and had only 2 points. Here in the second quarter, 10 points, and he's played most of this period. Coming up at halftime, the Prudential Halftime Report with the first half highlights of this game, the Digital Coach of the Year Award, Pat Riley, as you've, I'm sure, heard and read, and the first finalist of the TNT Power Pass Contest, and a story on Detroit's trainer, Mike Abdenard, one of the legends of the training business. You're right. Aguirre's feeling he has 12, and it's a 1-point Knicks lead. Aguirre's 6 out of 8. The Pistons have really clamped down on Ewing this period. Let's see if the Knicks look to him. They have Cheeks back in there with Trent Tucker. Cheeks is going to launch one. Rebound Rodman. The Pistons can take the lead after trailing by 14 in the first quarter. Aguirre. Detroit by 2. The crowd on their feet at the Palace at Auburn Hills. The Knicks with 12 on the shot clock. Dick Bavetta with the whistle. You could hardly hear it. It's away from the ball and it's on the Pistons. And that's on Edwards, his second.
Yeah, but I tell you, Mark Aguirre has picked a good time to get hot and step forward offensively, but that's what makes this Piston team so tough. They have so many people. See, Mark got this ball. He knew that he was going to go after it. He had Oakley on him, makes a lateral move. Charles not that quick to react, and when you got a hot hand and you get a guy like Oakley guarding you and you're a forward, you get real happy when you see that matchup.
Lambier checks back in for the final 47.5 seconds of the first half. Ewing can tie it with this free throw. And does. That stopped an 11-0 Pistons run. Tied at 47. Isaiah Thomas into the paint against Mo Cheeks. Down to Ewing. Here comes the double team. The open man is Van de Wey a long way away. He dishes it to Cheeks off the glass.
He didn't plan that.
You might call that a severe angle. Tied at 49. Time remaining in the first half on the lower right of your screen.
That shot will win you a game in a horse contest.
Even you would have trouble making that shot. Shot clock down to 6 seconds, about a half-second difference. Isaiah Thomas misses the bank shot, but Aguirre there for the long rebound. At the buzzer, Mark Aguirre. They're counting the basket, and the Pistons lead it by 2 at the half. Well, Mark Aguirre has 17 points, and he could not miss.
Well, it's some pretty good defense, but first you see the good move on the penetration, but Isaiah, Patrick comes over and just intimidated Isaiah to shoot a little bit higher than he wanted. Lane Beer got knocked out of the way, but the long rebound to Mark Aguirre, and again, he just had the hot hand working for him, and the bench delighted to go into half, leading by 2.
The New York Knicks led it by 14 in the first quarter. They trail it by 2 at half.
Clutch Men, Clutch Moments, brought to you by the official vehicle of the NBA, Jeep and Eagle. Down by 2, Philadelphia's Johnny Dawkins ties the game at 99. Who will Orlando look to in the clutch? With time running out and the score tied, the Magic go to Reggie Theus to win it in the clutch. Pulls up. You can expect the best from Jeep and Eagle. The 1990 NBA playoffs on TNT are brought to you by Jeep and Eagle, the official vehicles of the NBA, and by Wendy's, the best hamburgers in the business, and a whole lot more.
This is the pump. This is an interesting pump. It works right here. It have a little ball on the front, and you just like pump it up. You pump the tongue, and it has an air bladder inside that compresses the air in the shoe. So you can put it up to the level, you know, where you want it. That's good when you're playing basketball, you know. You need comfort. So, look at that. And when you want to release it, it's a button on the back. And you push it, and release the air. Ooh, where do you get these? You must be bad or something. Pump it up.
The history, the great moments, the all-time records, they're all in the official NBA Basketball Encyclopedia. Now available from Villard Books at your local bookstore, or call 1-800-NBA-5700. That's 1-800-NBA-5700.
The Prudential Halftime Report is being brought to you by the companies of the Prudential. Come to the Prudential and build your future on the rock.
It's halftime at the Palace, and the Pistons lead the Knicks by 2. Hello, I'm Craig Sager, along with Cleveland coach Lenny Wilkinson. Coach, first of all, I have to give Chuck Daly a lot of credit. Mark Aguirre picks up 3 fouls, but he leaves them in, and then he looks like a genius. Aguirre, 17 points.
Well, I tell you, Craig, when you have a player that gets as hot as Mark Aguirre has, you have to milk it for all you can. I mean, this is the playoffs. You want to end it right now. You got people on the bench who can come in and play if he gets in foul trouble. So let's get the most out of Mark, and that's exactly what Chuck Daly did.
As for the Knicks, you said before the game that Patrick Ewing would need some help from his teammates. He got it, especially in the beginning.
Well, he certainly did, and what the Knicks want to do is to get off to a good start. They don't want to have to battle back. And here at the very opening half of the game, they come down the court, and you're going to see a nice little screen away from the ball by Patrick Ewing. Kiki Vandeweghe makes a nice slice to the basket and gets an easy layup. That's to get Kiki back into the game early. Here, they come down the other end, and Detroit now has up-tempo the game. Chuck Daly made a great substitution. He's got a quicker lineup in. They go to double team. The ball's passed out, and Isaiah gets a nice, easy shot. And that's one of the easiest shots they've gotten up to that point. New York went on a 17-4 run, and here they go double Patrick Ewing. They get the ball out. Mark Aguirre makes a great down-court pass for an easy layup for the microwave, Vinnie Johnson, and Detroit is off and running.
Another great example of the depth of the Detroit Pistons. Not only Aguirre scoring those 17 points, but Vinnie Johnson, Sally, all coming in doing a great job.
Well, you got to give Chuck Daly credit for making great substitution during that time, because New York had the game going their way with a 17-4 run. And now he makes that substitution, comes with a quick lineup. They get going. They make 2 big runs, a 15-5 run and an 11-0 run. I think that Chuck Daly made a great coaching move.
And later tonight, we'll have Phoenix at L.A. with bonus coverage of San Antonio at Portland. In a moment, Ron Thulin from L.A. with the NBA Coach of the Year. Welcome back to the Prudential Halftime Report. In 9 years, Pat Riley has led the L.A. Lakers to 9 Pacific Division titles. Tonight, an award long overdue. Let's join Ron Thulin at the Forum in L.A. Ron?
And thank you very much, Craig Sager. Pat Riley has the highest winning percentage in NBA history for both the regular season and the playoffs. He led the Los Angeles Lakers to the best record in the NBA this year. And for those accomplishments, Pat Riley has been named the Digital NBA Coach of the Year. And to present the award, Robert Brooks, the Vice President of Customer Services for the Western Region for the Digital Equipment Corporation. Robert?
On behalf of Digital Equipment Corporation, it is my sincere pleasure to present the Digital NBA Coach of the Year Award to Pat Riley. Along with that will go a $1,000 contribution to the Inglewood Dare program in Pat's name. Pat, congratulations for an excellent job.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate it very much. Very much. I do want to thank Digital for their support of this particular trophy. I see Red Hour back on there with a cigar. I don't know how long I'm going to take this, but I will cherish it. I also want to thank the Basketball Writers of America that voted for me, and most of all, the Laker organization, my players who voluntarily cooperated this year to have a great season, along with Bill Burke, Randy Flynn, and Jim Iron, my assistant coaches. A wonderful award and something that I'll always cherish. Again, thank you very much.
Pat Riley, on behalf of TNT, congratulations. Well-deserved award. Now let's go back to our studios in Atlanta with Craig Sager.
Thanks, Ron. The Coach of the Year will be tested tonight. The Lakers in a survival test against Phoenix. That game here on TNT following the Knicks and the Pistons. Well, if you'd like to see a game in the Forum and in the Palace, as well as the other arenas around the league, the Power Pass is your opportunity. Among other prizes, the Power Pass gives a grand prize winner and a guest a tour of every NBA city the NBA calls home. 27 games during the 1990-91 season. Over the next 2 weeks, 16 entries will be randomly chosen as finalists. And on May 30th, one of the finalists will win the Power Pass. Tonight, we begin announcing the finalists, and our first is Derek Jones from Mobile, Alabama. To learn more about the contest and how to enter, continue to watch the NBA playoffs on TNT.
Making it great inside the NBA. Brought to you by Pizza Hut.
Welcome to Inside the NBA. Although Mike Abdenauer is only 37 years old, he's been a basketball trainer for more than 20 years. His career began in high school and was climaxed last year when he received an NBA championship ring. But Abdenauer's duties far exceed taping ankles. He's also in charge of transportation and accommodations. And he accommodated us as we followed him for a day.
We in New York. Sorry, trainer. Get over there and decide where you belong.
And that's Phil Anderson.
You bum.
On this particular day, we had shooting practice. And practice is practice no matter where it's at. Everybody's generally in a pretty jovial mood. The fun level is up until it's time to go to work.
This is the heftiest trainer in the league per square inch.
This is the most popular player in the NBA, too.
Look at this.
Okay, because they're talking about getting everything squared away. They're yelling and screaming at me. Hang on for 1 second. Talking about the plane. It's going to be no later than 5:30, but if they've got everything in, I'm going to call her right now, and hopefully we'll know before we leave. Yo, let's roll them in.
Years old, you just started doing it. That's it. So you should know what you're doing by now, right?
Still don't do it.
Why do you not give me enough pre-wrap?
Sal, because your beautiful legs, Sal, you don't need it, not on your beautiful legs.
Worst tape job in the league. Unfortunately, he's ours.
You know, the fact that they bust your chops, I would think that means that they love you. I mean, I would hope that means that they love you.
He's always perfect. And even when he ain't perfect, he's perfect.
The trainer is Mike Abdenauer, and the head coach, Chuck Daly.
As far as things that happen at the game, my bench responsibilities are to keep the coaching staff appraised of timeouts, personal and team fouls, as well as any substitutions that we can pick up just to help those guys make their decisions on which way they turn to players or which way they go in different strategical situations. On top of being somebody that keeps the bench going, and hopefully there's no injuries, and if that happens, well, it's time to do what you've been hired for, keep the team healthy. Post-game is hectic. We like to turn the group as a group within 35 minutes.
Yo, I need some towels. The bus is in the ramp, right? Yo, 10 minutes, let's go.
Mike, what time we get home?
About 1 o'clock, Sal. Let's go, Pistons, let's go.
Tell my Dan's dressed, and as soon as he gets dressed, we're out of here. Fellas, take care. Thanks a lot.
Lenny, is Mike overworked, or is that all part of the job of being a trainer?
Well, I tell you, it's all part of the job, Craig, and I think all trainers deserve an NBA championship ring for what they have to do.
Okay, we'll be back later, but now let's go back to Bob Neal and Rick Barry at the Palace.
Thank you, Craig and Lenny. The Detroit Pistons have taken a 2-point lead here at halftime after trailing by 14 points in the first quarter. The New York Knicks came out here. Stu Jackson said he hoped that his Knicks could withstand what he thought would be a Piston onslaught in the first quarter, and just the reverse happened. It was all Knicks until the bench got involved.
Well, yeah, and the Knicks are right in there. As we take a look at the statistics, you can see it was like two different ball games. The first 8 minutes of the game, look what New York did and what the Pistons did, and then the last 16, it was all Detroit. To start the game, Patrick Ewing got off to a good start. He shot the ball very well. See, Patrick gets the ball inside quickly and makes a nice little quick spin move to the baseline over the double team that was late getting there, an easy 2 points. Then, of course, it was the bench. 25 points for Detroit, 10 for New York, and it was Mark Aguirre. 15 of the last 19 points. He was a one-man wrecking crew. 8 for 10 from the field, all in the second quarter. Mark Aguirre giving the Pistons the lead at the half, wiping out that 14-point deficit. But watch an interesting play coming up here. Watch how they play the two-man game. As they come over to set the screen right over here, you're going to see Trent Tucker come in behind the play as you're going to see Dumars come off the screen to this position here. Then you're going to watch Mark Jackson, who doesn't help weak side, to come in to cut the driving lane off, and Dumars is going to be able to get to the middle. Let's watch it develop here. You see Patrick get up body to body on Sally, who sets the screen, and then Tucker goes behind both of the men, not trying to fight through. Now, as Dumars makes the move and he goes towards the middle, we stop very quickly. See, Jackson wasn't in position to help here. That allows Dumars to go in. Patrick has to come to help. Tucker should have dropped here to screen off Sally, who's going to come in and get the easy 2 points. There goes Dumars. Here comes Patrick. Here comes Sally. No Tucker. Easy 2. Breakdown defensively results in baskets like that against a good team.
Patrick Ewing at the half, 18 points to go with 6 rebounds, and Patrick is carrying only 1 personal foul. So the Knicks led by 14. Detroit led by as many as 2, and that was here at the end of the first half of play. We're underway again from Auburn Hills. Bob Neal, Rick Barry with you. 5 on the shot clock for Lane Beer. Vandeweghe got a hand in it. Ewing blocked it. Well, Lane Beer just took his shooting percentage right down the tubes on that one trip. He was now 0 for 5. Ewing into the paint. Misses the jump hook. He won't miss that more than once or twice a game. And the Detroit Pistons with their 2-point lead, controlling the ball, hoping to clinch and move into the Eastern Conference Championship Series with a victory here tonight against the Knicks. Rodman, beautiful move inside. It won't fall. Ewing with his 7th rebound of the night.
You know, it looked like they almost intentionally cleared the floor out to let Rodman go one-on-one. That's very unusual.
Hard to believe. Gerald Wilkins fell down. He wisely got it to Ewing. He bounced it off his foot. Cheeks from long range. And that was an ugly series, but the Knicks get away with one because the ball bounced off of Bill Laimbeer.
Hey, I think that what happened is Maurice didn't see the shot clock, or the angle he had may have looked like 1. There were 7 left, and he rushed that shot, not realizing he had more time to develop a better opportunity.
Vandeweghe to Cheeks from 19 feet. Not going to fall. Edwards is open. 15-foot jumper, and James Edwards has 7 points, and the Pistons have their biggest lead by 4. So it's been an 18-point turnaround since New York led 23-9 in the first quarter. Fouls on Isaiah Thomas. His first.
Maurice is either going to have to make that cut through early to see if they're going to double and then do some reaction and rotating to try and get some open shots off of that double team, or he's going to have to start dropping in a couple of those opportunity jumpers, which he has not been doing.
Inside to Ewing. From 8 feet, Patrick Ewing. Ewing pulls the Knicks to within 2.
See, Patrick, when he makes that little move, one dribble, stop, go up and shoot it, not a bad move from that post. I don't like it when he tries to take more than that one little step and that one quick dribble and tries to go across the lane, because then he's floating, going away from the basket, shooting a very difficult shot.
Ewing averaging 30 points a game in the series. Thomas waves Cheeks on by, then misses the 15-footer. There's Ewing with another rebound. He has 8 in the game. Wilkins finds Mo Cheeks, who has to take it back outside again. Down to Oakley against Isaiah Thomas, and Isaiah picks up 2 quick fouls here to open the second half. I mean, Cheeks saw that he had the mismatch. I'm not sure Oakley was aware of it when they bounced the ball down there. Chuck Daly's all the way out to half court arguing with Dick Bavetta, who's now trying to send him back to his feet.
Well, he's saying that not arguing the foul, but the fact that Oakley was dribbling the ball, that it was down on the court, and he wasn't in the act of shooting.
Just heard somebody yell cheater's proof when Oakley missed the free throw. That's the first missed free throw in this ball game, by the way, for either team. He misses them both, so Chuck Daly got his way. Isaiah Thomas hard to the hoop, right into Patrick Ewing. Oakley over Lane Beer. He can bury that one, but he couldn't hit the free throws.
Yeah, remember, he hit his first shot from the outside in the first half also, and wound up shooting 1 for 4.
Stu Jackson knows that.
They need some more offensive boards. He only had 1 in the first half. Knicks only had 3 offensive rebounds.
One of the elements of their game plan was to block Oakley off the offensive boards, as Edwards will go to the line. That's Patrick Ewing's second personal foul. This game's tied at 53, 8:48 to go in the third quarter. The New York Knicks putting on a valiant effort to stay alive in the playoffs here at Auburn Hills. Edwards now 8 points in this ball game.
Now, well, this is not the building nor the team to be playing against and be going down the stretch in a close ball game.
See the 89 playoff numbers. An 11-point difference. Of course, the guy who was playing his position last year at this time was Rick Mahorn.
That's only the 4th and 5th free throws for Detroit. They only ordered the line 3 times in the first half.
There's a hold. And that is the 3rd personal on James Edwards. Team fouls, 3 already on the Pistons with 8:33 to go in the third quarter. Only 1 on the Knicks. John Sally will be back on the floor for Detroit momentarily. Here's Gerald Ewing curling off a baseline screen. Nice touch. Gerald Ewing. That's a good one. How about Wilkins? That's what Patrick Ewing would. Another Ewing out there, they'd ban this team from the league. They'd be too good.
As long as it's not J.R. Ewing.
Dumars got in front of Wilkins, tried to shovel it inside. Look at Dumars. Terrific play by Dumars, who has 8 in the game.
That should have been delay of game warning there against Rodman that time, because he grabbed the ball coming out of the basket and just put it down on the court.
Detroit by 2. They led by as many at the half.
Oakley just changed his pivot foot.
Ewing gets the ball out to Cheeks from 19 feet, and Mo Cheeks has 6 points.
And again, that's the shot that Maurice is going to have to hit, especially when he's staying outside in the perimeter, feeding into Patrick.
Rodman left all alone, which they'll likely do. Nice steal on the anticipation by Cheeks. That pass intended for Isaiah Thomas. Lowell just pull up and put down the jumper. Oakley gets the tip in on the offensive rebound. So that's another offensive board for Charles Oakley. Giving him 1 for the game, I think. I don't think he had any. That's 2. Second offensive board. He had none at the half. Dumars has been the man for the Pistons here. He's had the last 2 buckets. This game has been tied 7 times now. It's knotted at 59. Ewing knocks down Lane Beer. They'll call him for the foul, and for Patrick Ewing, that's number 3. Timeout on the floor. 6:48 to go in the ball game, tied at 59. A look look at the Detroit bench, you saw a profile of Mike Abdenar, the Detroit trainer there, is standing and talking to John Sally at halftime, and it's time for the Wendy's playoff recap. The Bulls leading the Sixers 3-1. The Spurs and the Blazers tied at 2. We'll have a Spurs-Blazers game for you on Thursday night. And following this game, the Lakers, with their backs to the wall and shooting only 41%, will try to stay alive at the Forum.
Yeah, I've never seen a Laker defense quite so porous. I mean, they just had people penetrating at will. Their defense was really broken down. I'm sure Pat Riley worked on that with them this morning. Did give them a day off, however.
Well, our Detroit crew will all be huddling around the TV to watch that one. That'll be a big ball game at the Forum with the Phoenix Suns leading 3-1. Right after this one on the doubleheader, Chicago and Philly on tomorrow night on TNT. Then another doubleheader if the Lakers defend at home on Thursday night. This one's tied at 59. Lane Beer from over Kiki Vandeweghe. Lane Beer's first basket of this ball game.
They really, neither front line's been scoring well other than Patrick Ewing, and nobody on either team other than Patrick.
Down to Patrick against Lane Beer. There's Sally, but Lane Beer stood right in his face, and Patrick missed the turnaround jumper. Dumars played by Wilkins. Wilkins comes away with a steal on some great defense. Had the break. Found Cheeks, but a little late. Vandeweghe misses from long range. A blown opportunity for the Knicks.
Yeah, had Gerald not lost his footing, he would have been able to motor down the other end for a dunk shot. You can be sure of that.
Kiki Vandeweghe only 2 of 5 tonight. Sally's inside. He misses with his left hand. Knicks can tie. Lane Beer with the steal.
And you know how bad that pass had to be if Bill Lane Beer was able to move laterally and pick that one off.
Dumars loses the dribble, then gets it back again. Rebound kept alive by Oakley and controlled by Ewing to Cheeks. A couple of years ago, Cheeks would have motored right past Isaiah, or at least made the attempt, but not now. 10 on the shot clock. Have a double stack down low, and they get the ball to Kiki Vandeweghe, who's now 2 of 6 from the floor, and his shooting woes continue.
He's still worried about Robin. He's rushing his shot. He's waiting for people coming at him. You know, Kiki's just not getting himself set and being able to shoot it.
And the Pistons have 8 on the clock. Lane Beer from Isaiah Thomas. A 3-point attempt. Another rebound for Oakley. He has 7. Timeout called by the New York Knicks, trailing it by 2 with 4:12 to go in the third period. It was 51-49 at the half. Well, the Knicks trail it by 2 here and trail in the series 3-1. Detroit hoping to move on into the Eastern Conference Championship Series. It's tough to come back when you're down 3-1, but it has been done before.
Yeah, and the Lakers did it against the Suns back in 1970. They're going to get a chance to see if history can repeat itself as game number 4 comes right after this one. And who's now Rod Thulin and Doug Collins to be doing that one right after this one here on TNT.
I thought Doug was in Detroit.
Yeah, I thought he was too.
Okay, quick, Doug. Name your city. Phoenix and L.A. coming up next. Mark Aguirre with 17 second-quarter points back into the ball game for Detroit, along with Vinnie Johnson. That's when the Pistons made their comeback. Patrick Ewing misses the jump shot. Saved by Dumars to Vinnie Johnson after Oakley hits the deck. Well, this is a Pistons kind of game. Only 10 points have been scored in this quarter with 3:45 remaining by both teams. Ewing gets the board for the Glass. He has 11 rebounds. Knicks have not scored in 3.5 minutes. Wilkins puts it into that, and it's tied at 61.
And now they've got, what, 38 points in the last 24 minutes. And what do they have in the first 8?
23 points the first 8. How about that's Detroit defense here at Auburn Hills. Now Aguirre, let's see if he continues his hot hand. Yes. If Aguirre, one of the beauties of this Detroit Pistons team is they are so unselfish. It's the reason they're defending world champions. If they see anybody who's hot, they will go to him till that well runs dry, and they've done it very well and unselfishly with Aguirre, who has 19. Doesn't matter who. Newman with a tough shot on the base.
That's what you got to do. Go back at him. He's not the greatest defender in the world. Make him use a little energy playing some defense and try to go basket for basket, if nothing else, with him.
Newman's first basket of this ball game, tied at 63. Denny Johnson kicks it out to Aguirre, steps inside of Oakley, takes it off the glass. 21.
Yeah, as I said, I just noticed on his face in the first half that he had that look and he had that feel. And,
you know the look.
And he hasn't cooled off well during the half and all that time on the bench in the third quarter.
Aguirre 10 of 13. Newman, he can get hot and be a streak shooter too, but there's that Detroit defense. Dumars saves to Lane Beer. Joe Dumars, it's very difficult to put a label on the elements of success he brings to this team. He does it in so many subtle ways.
I think MVP of the Championship Series is a good way to do it.
Sally fouled as he goes in for the jam.
Watch Mark Aguirre. He's got Oakley on him, just takes him into the middle, little fadeaway. When you have the hot hand, you hit nothing but net.
John Sally, who'll celebrate his birthday tomorrow.
Yeah, I tell you,
the free throw line.
Mark Aguirre has done that and more to people a lot quicker and a lot better lateral movement than Charles Oakley has.
Mark Aguirre, 21 points in this game, had 17 in the second quarter. And by the way, John Sally, talking to me before the ball game, said, as a Georgia Tech graduate, to welcome your son John there. He says John must be very pleased that Dennis Scott has gone pro and said he's going to go early entry into the draft.
Actually, John was hoping he was going to stay, figuring that they'd have a much better basketball team. So
more minutes, Rick. Think minutes. Pistons lead it by 4 with 1:47 to go in the third quarter. Well, Detroit has scored 16 points in this period. The New York Knicks have only scored 14 points. Obviously, a defensive ball game goes Detroit's way, as they are the defensive team in the NBA.
Yeah, and the Knicks have to feel very fortunate that they're still right in this ball game with the poor offensive output that they've had, of course, all season long, all series long. Stu Jackson's been concerned about how they're able to function against that great Detroit defense. They're having difficulty here, but fortunately, they've been able to do a job on the Pistons as well, and they're still in the ball game, and anything can happen, of course, in the NBA, as we always have a lot of interesting fans attending the games throughout the NBA country.
Yeah, interesting is an interesting choice of words. Detroit with 31 second quarter points, but Mark Aguirre had 17 of those. We have 1:47 to go in the third quarter. Pistons have scored 16. The Knicks only 14. The crowd into this game. The Pistons hoping to hold on to this lead to move ahead to the Eastern Conference Championship Series. Johnny Newman into Mo Cheeks. Ewing over Lane Beer. Lane Beer fouled that shot. Rebound Aguirre. He has 6 rebounds to go with his 21 points.
They need somebody on the Knicks team to come up with a hot hand here. Right now, everybody's very cold.
Aguirre for 3. Not this time, but he gets his own board. Knocks down Newman. He's powering his way into the alley, and he gets fouled as he drives. That's 2 on Cheeks.
Chuck Daly can only cover his eyes on that one. Again, when you get a player with Mark McGuire's offensive talents and skills and the mindset that he has, obviously at times he's going to take a few shots and do a few things that the coach isn't going to necessarily agree with. That last move was one of them.
Tomorrow night, the Philadelphia Sixers will be at Chicago. Pete Van Weer and Steve Jones will have that game for you. Bulls lead that series 3-1 and will probably, in the eyes of most people, wrap that one up against Philadelphia. Now Detroit with their biggest lead of 6. 69-63, 1 minute to go, third quarter. Gerald Wilkins tries to cut it to 4. He can't get up.
Sally called for the foul, pushing Oakley underneath.
That's 3 on John Sally. Less than a minute to go, third quarter.
Only first in the last 2 minutes of the Pistons on the fouls, Knicks being in the penalty.
Ewing is only 1 of 5 from the floor this period. That's a total of 20 in the game. Looking for him again. You got to keep going to that well till it runs dry. 1 of 6. Seconds on the clock. Dumars has Aguirre posted against Newman down low. Boy, does he want the ball. 5 on the shot clock. Dumars open from 18. Ewing with the boards. 17 seconds to go in the quarter. Ewing with 12 rebounds.
A hoop here by the Knicks, and they've come out of it well. Only have lost 2 points to the lead, to the deficit that they faced at the half.
Wilkins off that baseline curl gets it to Ewing. I think Lambier got a piece of that. New York had only 2 field goals in the last 7.5 minutes, and the Pistons lead it by 6 going into the 4th and final period. 69-63 Pistons. You wonder why Rick sometimes is very critical of NBA players who miss free throws. Well, Rick takes off his earphones, pulls off his IFB cord, runs onto the floor, and makes 6 out of 7 free throws for charity at the line here, right off the bench. That's 85.7%.
Yeah, that's the one I blew right there. A little short, but see, that you don't mind missing short or long because then you can adjust for it. But it was nice for them to have me do that for the Pete Maravich Memorial Fund. I was able to raise $300, and I appreciate the Pistons giving me that opportunity. Rex Nelson. Thank you, Rex. And he's done a good job with their foundation. They've donated $187,000 in grants to local disadvantaged youth.
Gerald Wilkins with a tough one, blocked by Sally. Wilkins gets it back. He's going to take it right back in there. Misses the jam. Detroit ball. Pistons by 6, 11:34 to go in the ball game. They've held the steal by Mo Cheeks. He has help from Oakley. Back to Newman. Off the glass, the basket will count, and the foul, a three-point opportunity. Joe Dumars picks up the personal. That'll be his first.
I tell you, this was not a good pass-off on a nice steal by Cheeks. They almost wound up missing a golden opportunity with numbers. As the basket goes back, Oakley back to Newman. He didn't get a great shot at the basket. Fortunately, he got a good bounce in the foul on the part of Dumars. It should have been an easier shot than that on a 3-on-1 opportunity.
Converts it into a three-point play. 69-66, Pistons by 3. Some full-court pressure from the Knicks now. If they continue with the trap, there's a turnover. Oakley with the loose ball. Behind his back and out of bounds.
That's ridiculous.
I wish you could see the look on Stu Jackson's face.
You just can't make a play like that. It makes no sense to have to throw that kind of pass. It wasn't even called for.
There it is. Tom Smith, our director, with some.
When you play this game, Bob, this is really a very basic, simple game. And if you keep it simple, it works very well. When you try to do things like that, you create problems.
Stu Jackson. Oh, my, it's not worth all the money, he says. Edwards spins into the line. Walker for the lay-in. So, in effect, a 4-point turnaround with that turnover and
I don't know, Patrick getting some rest in the bench, but they're just taking advantage of it.
Wilkins, that's a 2 by Gerald Wilkins. One thing that happens with the Knicks when Patrick Ewing isn't in there, if they take advantage, is that it does open the middle for some of their slashers and cutters, like Newman, like Wilkins.
That's true, but I think I'd still rather see Patrick in the game. He's getting ready to come back in.
James Edwards misses. Here comes the Knicks. Mark Jackson coming back in with Ewing.
Well, if they're going to do a little bit of that pressing like they've been doing in trapping, that's Mark's game.
Kenny Walker missing. Benny Johnson. Kenny Walker got away with a push on Sally. It'll belong to Detroit as Isaiah Thomas comes back in for the Pistons. Oakley and Cheeks go to the bench for the Knicks as Jackson and Ewing come in. There's a brief hold up here to get one of the courtside assistants to clear off some moisture on the sideline. Give me a chance to tell you there's 10 minutes, 1 second remaining in this game. The Pistons leading it by 3. They trailed by 14 in the first quarter, led by 2 at the half.
And the Lakers' ultimate challenge is next.
Phoenix at L.A. But, of course, until they got that first game in the series, which we televised in Los Angeles, Phoenix had lost 21 games in a row at the Forum, so it's not exactly their favorite place to try to close out the series.
I think what happened here and why we're having so much time is they have waiters and waitresses running around here serving the people who pay the big bucks for the tickets at courtside, and someone spilled one of the drinks.
Aha. Must have been a sugar drink. Floor appears a little sticky over there. Steve Javi, the official, is checking out the floor. You see the blonde-headed official over there on the near sideline. 71-68 Detroit Pistons. Isaiah Thomas gets leveled. Trent Tucker falls over him. Johnson takes it off the glass. Then he has 8. Now they've cleared Ewing out. He's out here at three-point land. 8 on the shot clock for the Knicks. Mark Jackson against Isaiah Thomas. Takes it inside. Rebound, John Sally. Sally's played big here in this fourth quarter. Has a big block and also that big rebound, along with a couple of others. Eight on the shot clock for Detroit. 2 on the clock. Tipped away. 1 that would have counted. Rebound, Benny Johnson inside of Mark Jackson. He turns around right back in there. He's got 10 points, and this is the biggest lead of the ball game for the Detroit Pistons. A 7-point bone for Detroit.
And the bench of the Pistons just really destroying the Knicks. Benny Johnson, Mark Aguirre, Sally.
Benny Johnson has 10, Sally 4, Mark Aguirre has 23, and it's the biggest lead of the game.
The Great Western Forum in Inglewood, California, site of Game 5 tonight between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Phoenix Suns in the Western Conference semifinals. Hello, everybody. I'm Ron Thulin. The Lakers are calling it nervous time. What it is their backs against the wall. They trail the Phoenix Suns 3-1 in the best-of-7 series, 1 game away from elimination. And immediately following the Detroit-New York game, Doug Collins and I will have all the action right here from Inglewood. Now, let's go back to Bob Neal and Rick Barry in Detroit.
The Knicks have been held to only 19 points since halftime, and Detroit has their biggest lead of the game. It's time for the Minute Maid Minute. Detroit hoping to move on to take on Chicago if the Bulls beat the Sixers.
See the bench scoring, McGuire, a big game. But look at this scoring, 28, 21, 14. You think there's a trend being set here? In Game 1, the Knicks went 20, 18, 15 in the first 3 quarters, and the game was over. Then they went 28, 26, 24, 19 in the second game when they had a chance to maybe win that ball game. So this is a trend that has not boded well for the Knicks.
The Detroit bench, 16 of 26 from the field. Barry with a big block and steal. Oh, my! Aguirre off the glass. Oh, the Pistons are feeling it, and they're doing it the old-fashioned way.
They've earned it. Couldn't let it go, Bottai.
9-point lead. Mark Jackson on the drive waved the basket off. The foul before that.
James Edwards setting a moving little body block.
Picked up his 4th personal foul. But the Detroit bench, I mean, 16 field goals of 26 attempts has been really the difference in the game.
And Patrick just never saw Sally, who was screened off by Edwards. He just made an incredibly good block on Patrick Ewing from the weak side. And then they got a resulting basket from the hot man, Mark Aguirre.
Patrick Ewing, 1 of 8 since halftime, only 1 basket. Johnny Newman with the hoop. He has 7 in the game. It's a 7-point Pistons lead, 8 minutes to go. The Knicks are going to have to get back with the trap. Is red hot. The dish from Wilkins to Kenny Walker. The Pistons can build a lead of 11.
The Knicks can't try to do it too quickly. They still have to show some patience. There's plenty of time, but they've got to do it on this end. They got to stop the Pistons defensively.
Well, that's no way to do it. A drive down the lane by Vinnie Johnson. Gerald Wilkins with a 3-on-1 break. Look at that Detroit defense. That was a 3-on-1 break, and the Knicks have to pull it out of there. Cheeks will go to the line on the drive. Vinnie Johnson with the foul. 7:11 to go in the ball game.
Well, Wilkins should have given that ball up. They would have gotten a layup. He didn't give it up until he had to wind up making a pass that was too late for Cheeks to be able to do anything with it.
Oakley set to return to action for the Knicks. Mo Cheeks has 7 points in the ball game. Kenny Walker sits down. Mark Aguirre goes to the bench. Now Rodman will come in and play the defense. They got what they needed from Mark Aguirre. 25 points, 17 in the second quarter, when he brought almost single-handedly, offensively, the Pistons back. Pistons by 7. New York shooting only 37% from the floor this half. Rick, you said it well. They've had opportunities with open shots.
Yeah, they just haven't shot the ball very well. I thought it's been good defense as well by the Pistons.
The patience of Johnson. Isaiah Thomas. He has Rodman following him.
Oh, no.
They're going to call a breakaway foul on Johnny Newman.
Not a good call. Sorry, Dick. That was a good play on the ball by Newman. He was laterally, and Newman's upset. He has every right to be. To get a chance to see it again. Isaiah with a good anticipation. Knocks it away. Now, Newman, see, he catches up to him there. He hit the ball. He actually hit the ball. He was right next to him and hit the ball. Another angle on it. Here he's lateral with him. Moves and knocks the ball away. That's a good defensive play. I mean, he got called for the foul, but certainly not a breakaway.
13 points, 5 assists, no turnovers for Isaiah Thomas in this game. On the breakaway, you get the free throws and the ball. Pistons by 11.
That's a backbreaker when you're trying to fight back from the hole.
Vinnie Johnson, having his way offensively, kicks it out to Sally, who finds Edwards. Nice pass from Sally. Well, the defending world champions are making a statement here tonight. A 20-second timeout for the New York Knicks as the Pistons have built a 13-point lead. They had trailed by 14 in the first quarter.
Yeah, this has been all Detroit since early in the ball game. No question about that. You see Edwards able to go ahead and knock it in. It's just good ball movement on the part of the Pistons to bench up, and knowing that they're going to be moving on to the final round in the Eastern Conference, a chance to go back and defend their title should they get by the winner of the Chicago-Philadelphia series. Of course, we've got that game for you, Game 5 tomorrow night here on TNT at 8 o'clock. And right after this one, the one that I think a lot of people are talking about. The ultimate challenge for the Lakers, trying to stay alive, down 3-1 to the Suns. This has been a great effort on the part of the Pistons. Falling behind early, an inspired Knicks team, and they just came out and took the game right away from them, showing the superiority. That's why they're the defending champions. I mean, they do everything on both ends of the court. Whatever's necessary, they find a way to do it.
85-72 Detroit, 6:12 to go in this ball game. Ewing has only one field goal in this half. Mo Cheeks gets the offside rebound and the hoop.
Offensive foul on Vinny. He moved to try and free Isaiah.
That's 2 on Vinny Johnson, and the Knicks get an opportunity here to pull within a single-digit deficit. Sound like the government talking. The pass intended for Oakley, broken up by Detroit's defense. Rodman, Sally, Edwards, Isaiah Thomas, and Vinny Johnson on the floor. Some strong defense up front with Sally and Rodman. Vinny Johnson against Wilkins. The double team. The open man is Thomas for 3. That ball belongs to the Knicks despite the valiant effort by Vinny Johnson.
Into the lap of George Blaha, the radio play-by-play man, and they're doing TV tonight along with John McLeod.
Johnny Newman really flips Dennis Rodman, who gets called for the foul on the hold prior to Newman flipping him over. That was the 4th Pistons team foul. Knicks have committed only 1. Ewing has 2 points. Oakley only 4. Kiki Vandeweghe no points this half. The front line of the Knicks have left them. Edwards right there in Ewing's face.
Now that is great defense.
Pat Ewing 1 of 10 this half. Now they got him out high. They kick it down to Rodman. Didn't see the pass. Knicks ball.
Bad pass by Edwards. He got in trouble, and he saw a white jersey and just tried to throw it to the white jersey. That's a foul on Rodman. That's a good call. I mean, Rodman does it all the time. He's got the reputation now. He doesn't even let a guy take a step where he wants to go. Excellent call. Watch again. Watch Rodman, what he does. There's the bump. See that he's trying to prevent. Now he goes right again. I mean, you know, that's, I like to see the officials make that kind of call and not go ahead and give the defensive player of the year every advantage. I'm not taking anything away from that. He's a great defender. He works hard at it. But at times he gets away with those plays, and that can disrupt you as an offensive player.
Newman gets 1 out of 2. It's a 10-point Pistons lead with 4:38 to go. 4 minutes, 38 seconds for the Pistons to move into the Eastern Conference Championship Series. It would be for the 4th consecutive year that the Pistons would have been in the conference championship.
You know, it's unfortunate for the Knicks that Patrick Ewing happened to have just an awful second half. They needed to have Patrick at his best to have a chance to win this ball game.
Sally at the buzzer misses the jumper. Knicks with a long rebound.
It's not over yet, but it would take a minor miracle, I think, for the Knicks to pull this one out. They'd have to get as hot as they got at the start of the game right now.
Oakley inside. Doesn't even get the bounce on that shot.
And they need every bounce like that going their way.
Since New York went 11 for 15 the first 8 minutes of game, they've gone 20 of 57. That's 35%.
See how everything's going against him. There's the ball off of Vinny's foot, and what happened? Maurice Cheeks happens to deflect and touch it with his hand.
Well, the Knicks know that they're just about 3 minutes, 42 seconds away from some golf. Knicks will inbound the ball on the baseline. Coming up right after this ball game, the Phoenix Suns at the Forum against the Lakers. Phoenix leading 3 games to 1. Can the defending Western Conference champions defend their home court against the Suns? Mike. guess would be yes tonight. More great defense. Detroit gets the ball again with their 10-point lead. Look at this. The Knicks have scored 75 points in this ball game. The Palace and Auburn Hills. Detroit about to move into the Eastern Conference Championship. The Knicks led this game by 14 points in the first quarter. Isaiah Thomas over Wilkins. Rodman serves at the side. That's 11 rebounds. Well, everybody in the building knows that Detroit's got this one now, including the men in blue. Edwards with 15. Timeout, New York. Down 12 with 2:43 remaining. On to NBA leaders. You see the players participating in this game tonight and where they stand among the NBA playoff leaders. Ewing second in points scored. Lambier third in rebounds. Isaiah Thomas sixth in assists. And Mo Cheeks 10th. Those are the stats coming in to this ball game. And here the Pistons lead it by 12 with 2:40 to go. And the Pistons indeed are kings of the Palace in Auburn Hills, Michigan. New York scored 23 points in the first 8 minutes. And since then, in the last 37, have been able to score only 52. They have only 26 in the second half.
Well, it's a combination of two things. The outstanding defense that the Detroit Pistons are known for, the best team in the NBA in that department, along with some very cold shooting on the part of the Knicks. When they did get an open shot, they couldn't get it to drop. And the combination has been death.
Well, I know the Pistons at halftime said they couldn't let Ewing continue on his tear. He had 18 at the half. Patrick Ewing, 1 of 10 from the floor during the second half of the ball game.
I wonder how the New York press will find a way to blame Stu Jackson for this loss.
Rodman called for the... There's an offensive call on Johnny Newman. Offensive call on Johnny Newman. Rodman turned around with his mouth open like, not again. He had knee that time. The officials agreed.
Well, the one thing about Dennis, he does not complain. He plays hard. He gives a lot, but he also will take it. I respect that in him. He's not a guy that plays dirty.
2:20 remaining in the ball game. The Knicks were held to 77 points in the opener of this series here at the Palace. They'll do better than that, but not a lot better. Oakley to Cheeks. I don't know if they will do better with plays like that. 2 minutes to go in the ball game. Well, Detroit will advance to play the winner of the Chicago-Philadelphia series. We'll have that Chicago-Philadelphia game, Game 5, tomorrow night on TNT from Chicago. Chicago hoping to clinch there at the stadium, and they're heavy favorites to do that. It was Chicago and Detroit in the conference finals last year. Doug Collins' Chicago Bulls played Detroit very well, getting that opening game win. Then they had the injury problems the Chicago Bulls did before Detroit was able to oust them.
Well, that should be a very interesting series should Chicago go on and win that one. Chicago playing a lot more confidence, an improved team over last year. But they still have to find a way to beat the defending champions. I think if Detroit plays their best basketball and Chicago plays their best basketball, the Pistons will come out victorious.
Pistons, of course, with the home court advantage. Cheeks gets the basket and draws the foul with 1:37 to go.
But that was also the situation between the Suns and the Lakers. And for the Lakers, they have not played their best basketball, and the Suns are. And as a result, the Suns are winning, and they won very handily in 2 games down there in Phoenix.
Well, the Lakers have looked, relative to the Lakers of the 80s, shaky in the entire playoffs. Even though they beat Houston in 4 games, Houston gave them some problems.
Their defense has not been up to the standards that it normally is. They just allowed too much penetration in those 2 games down in Phoenix, and if they don't shore things up there tonight, it could be over for them as well.
1:31 remaining in this ball game. Kiki Vandeweghe comes into this ball game. Vandeweghe has only 5 points, and they all came in the first quarter. Dennis Rodman, just put the clamps on Kiki early in the ball game. He even started making him think about it when he wasn't even near him. Now Sally's playing Vandeweghe on this series.
You're right, Bob. Kiki was looking for Dennis. I mean, he had a tough time just focusing on the shot, trying to rush it even many times.
Edwards has 5 personals now.
You can see Patrick Ewing on this last play, the frustration on his part as tries to get something going, trying to get the hands off from James Edwards. I mean, that's nothing compared to what was going on throughout this series. And obviously Patrick, knowing that the season is over for them and the playoffs finished, and he's, I'm sure, disappointed in himself that he wasn't able to produce more efficiently for the Knicks here in the second half when they really had a shot.
Pat Ewing, only 3 points this entire half.
Well, they found a way to keep him in the game for the minutes. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to produce the way they had hoped.
Minute 26 remaining. It is an 8-point game. You just don't see the Pistons giving it up here. Wilkins fouling Dumars, who will go to the free throw line. So the Detroit Pistons got off to a shaky start this year defending their world championship. Then they got their act together, slumped a little bit by their standards toward the end of the season when Dumars got hurt. But in the playoffs have been blowing right by. They took care of the Indiana Pacers in 3 games. They did lose 1 to the Knicks at Madison Square Garden. And Chuck Daly sitting beside Brendan Surr, who's one of the names that pops up when you wonder about who will replace Chuck Daly at Detroit.
Well, I think Brendan is one of the people who could do a good job here. He knows his team. He works with them very hard on the defensive sets, and I know that he would love to have that opportunity. It's a difficult task, though, walking into a situation where you've had so much success. It's kind of like taking over at UCLA after John Wooden.
That's for sure. Although, you wonder if Jack McCloskey might stay inside the organization, because it is an organization in concert here in Detroit. There's a book that's just been written called The Franchise, and it's about the Pistons and how they came back. They were just in the dregs when Daly joined this club.
You look at Kiki. He's looking for people. He had a wide open shot, and he never finished it off. There's no reason to pass that ball off. Nobody was contesting him.
Minute 12 to go. The full court pressure. Isaiah breaks it easily with the pass from Lane Beer. Now John Sally goes to the line as Tucker fouls him. Pistons have a couple of players getting some years on them, like Lane Beer and James Edwards. Isaiah Thomas somewhat in that category, but basically a very good basketball team and some degree young. Dumars and Rodman and Sally et al.
Yeah, a team that understands what it takes to win. They worked very hard to get to this point, and they would like nothing better than to repeat as champions. Something that it took a team in the NBA, 18, 19 years before the Lakers did it a few years ago.
Timeout call by Stu Jackson. The minute 5 left in the New York Knicks season, with the Pistons holding an 11-point lead. And we're just moments away from ending this game and going out to L.A. for Phoenix and the Lakers. 11-point lead for the Detroit Pistons, holding New York to 80 points with only a minute 5 to go. And the Pistons hoping to move on to play the winner of the Chicago-Philadelphia series. Game 5 tomorrow night on TNT between Chicago and Philadelphia. The starting front court for New York, 8 points total in the second half. The Pistons shut them down, and that includes Patrick Ewing, who has only 4 second-half points, 1 field goal and 2 free throws. Trent Tucker for 3. Sally the rebound, kicks it out to Dumars. Now, the Knicks have been under tremendous pressure from the press. Al Bianchi, the general manager, even Stu Jackson a little bit. Although I think the Knicks did better than most people thought they would in the playoffs as they got past the Boston Celtics and moved here into the second round. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of changes and what things happened with the New York Knicks in the offseason.
Yeah, always interesting happenings in New York. I think that graphic kind of told the story of the Knicks here as they were only trailing by 2 at the half.
John Sally, you're looking at Stu Jackson there with Paul Silas, assistant coach, and there's the man second quarter, Mark Aguirre, who did it for the Detroit Pistons. 17 points there. Excuse me, that was Benny Johnson on the bench. Mark Aguirre was the guy who really did it. Benny Johnson has 14 in the ball game. Sally misses the layup, but that's about all he's missed. 7 rebounds, 2 blocks, 5 points off the bench, and some really good defense tonight. 30 seconds remaining in this ball game. Gerald Wilkins with the personal. And there is Mark Aguirre. Finished the ball game with 25 points tonight. And Detroit found the guy they needed to go to, as they always seem to be able to do that. Whether it's Mark Aguirre, whether it's Isaiah Thomas, Lane Beer, you name it, whoever they go to, whoever's feeling it, this unselfish team will get them the ball.
Well, Bob, you go down any team that's been the championship ball club, and you've got a minimum of 3 people who usually will produce for you, and then other occasions even 4 and 5. The Pistons have the luxury of having 4, 5, and 6 guys who can come through for them offensively.
Leading by 13, 20 seconds to go in the ball game. The New York Knicks down to 42% shooting for the game, and they've been out rebounding 44 to 34. So the Pistons have done it in all areas of this ball game tonight. The Knicks got out to a 14-point lead, 23 to 9 in the first quarter. Then Chuck Daly went to his very strong bench, and that proved to be the difference in the ball game. So the Detroit Pistons are going to move ahead into the Eastern Conference Finals against the winner of the Chicago-Philadelphia series, 95 to 84. And the Pistons have finally clinched one here at home. Previously, they had been clinching these games on the road, thanks primarily to some sweeps they had been involved in. 95-84. Once again, the Pistons holding a team to below 90 points. They held the Knicks to 77 in Game 1. The Detroit did it with their usual style. Defense, shot blocking, rebounding, blue-collar basketball, but it's good enough to win them the world champion last year, the championship, and make them the favorites once again this year, particularly with the LA Lakers on the ropes against the Phoenix Suns. And we told you that the man tonight was Mark Aguirre, 25 points, 17 in the second quarter. He's with Rick Barry.
Well, Mark, it looked to me in the second quarter that you got that look in your eye. When did you feel it?
Well, after I got my first lay-in, and then I got 2 more buckets after that, and I really felt comfortable with my rhythm. Then they mismatched, and I had Charles Oakley on me, and I thought I could beat him off the dribble. So I got going real quick.
Well, obviously, it's been a little frustrating for you at times here. Your production here in the playoffs, Game 4, only a couple of points. What did you feel going into tonight's ball game that you could contribute to this ball club?
Well, see, I'm in a position where I have to wait. You know, I think that I got such a talented athlete in Dennis Rodman playing in front of me. And in Game 4 in New York, I mean, he had 5 offensive rebounds, 2 or 3 blocks, and at that point, I can't go in. He's playing well. So, I understand that I'll just have to sit and, contribute when I can.
What about playing on this ball club? What has the adjustment been like for you?
Well, it's been a great adjustment because the guys work with me. Most players play for the stats. Over here we play for the win. And I come out and play hard every day, every night, and the guys, really appreciate my hustle and my play. So I'm really happy.
Well, you stepped forward at the right time tonight. They really needed you if they could after that cold start. I know you haven't spent much time thinking about the next series. You take them one at a time, obviously. But what about the difference between Chicago and Philadelphia? I mean, who would you really prefer to play against?
Well, both teams are great. There's no doubt about it. Both teams are great. We've had tough times with Philadelphia, and we've had success with Chicago, but that doesn't also mean it's going to be like that in the playoffs. So we have to wait and see. But it looks like it might be Chicago, so I think we'll have to prepare for them.
Well, regardless, I know you guys have been ready, and congratulations again on a terrific performance at a most opportune time. Happy for you. Thank you. Back to you, Bob.
Thanks, Rick. 25 points tonight for Mark Aguirre, 17 in that critical second period, and the Knicks were held to only 61 points the last 40 minutes of this ball game.